Improve intelligence gathering mechanism in fighting terrorism. President Tinubu tasks security agencies. Hearing continues at the Presidential Election Petition Court as PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar calls for more witnesses. Federal government meets labor leaders as industrial court stops fuel subsidy removal strike. Hello and welcome to the Network News on NTA. It's good to be back after a jolly holiday. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. Michael Olaleye joins us from Lagos. Remember that you can watch this broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live. Kindly also follow all our social media handles displayed on the screen for more updates. And now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu is tasking national security agencies to improve their knowledge base to complement the infrastructure already on ground in fighting terrorism and violent extremism. The president threw the challenge when he visited the National Counter-Terrorism Center and the National Security Advisor's Office in Abuja on a facility tour. Musbao Wahab reports.
First time out of a presidential villa by President Tinubu. And this visit to the National Counter-Terrorism Center certainly counts more than the steps, a clear demonstration of his administration's intent to prioritize national security. Terrorism remains a global phenomenon, and the new commander-in-chief is coming with his new ideas to shore up defense at Nigeria's end and guarantee the security, which he always believes is central to his economic revival plans. The president is impressed with the state-of-the-art facilities emplaced here to coordinate and check security threats, but he identifies a missing link to optimize the infrastructures on ground.
It's a demonstration of intelligent effort to counter terrorism. It must be backed by knowledge. Counter-terrorism that is not backed by knowledge is not going to be of any service to any nation. We are going to work on that together.
The president also wants the security agencies to close all the ranks for a central goal.
You can't have a disharmony in an orchestra of this security plan. We must focus on one tunnel, coordinate, shared information, shared intelligence, coordinate and work harder. Then you cannot hoard those information.
The first place you visited, being the National Counter-Terrorism Center, is a manifestation of the desire of collective security agencies to ensure there's harmonization in whatever we do so that you get filtered, timely reports on your table as quickly as possible.
The nation's security challenges, especially terrorism and violent extremism, are like the metaphorical bird flying without perching. But these facilities are designed to be way ahead, and the president wants to see the changes the recently unveiled facilities will bring on board. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Earlier in the day, President Bola Tinubu met with the immediate past Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and his newly appointed Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. After the brief meeting in the office of the President, there was a symbolic handover from the former to the new Chief of Staff. President Tinubu last week announced Femi Gbajabiamila, who is still the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as his Chief of Staff in the first set of appointments. President Tinubu has also appealed to members of the Joint Health Sector Union, JOHISU, to call off their strike and return to work. giving them assurance of prompt attention towards addressing issues in the sector. President Tinubu, who received in audience leaders of the union, an affiliate of the Nigerian Labour Congress, stated that his administration would revive and restore public confidence in the sector and its professionals as important aspects of commitment to humanity. Expressing the readiness of the union to get its members back to work, Acting Chairman Dr. Obinna Ogbonna pleaded with President Tinubu to pay attention to the healthcare delivery system in Nigeria through adequate investment in healthcare infrastructure and better welfare for workers in the sector to stop brain drain. Meanwhile, sequel to the meeting with President Bola Tinubu, members of Johisu have called off the strike. Details will come in our subsequent bulletin. And still on strike action, the federal government representatives are currently meeting with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress at the State House. This is another in a series of meetings to avert the proposed nationwide strike by the NLC and affiliate bodies. The NLC had directed its members to commence industrial action on Wednesday, 7th June, should the NNPC refuse to reverse the recently increased petrol pump price. Recall that the federal government met with Trade Union Congress yesterday over the same issue. Details will come in our subsequent bulletin. The National Industrial Court in Abuja has stopped the planned strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress over the fuel subsidy removal. Justice Olufunke Anue, in an interim order, restrained the NLC and all its affiliates from further embarking on the strike, planned for 7th June until the hearing and determination of the main suit. The court further ordered the service of the originating summons and motion on notice on the NLC against the next adjourned date of June 19. The orders of the court follow an ex parte application by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice seeking to stop the planned strike. Meanwhile, in Kaduna, the Secretary General of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Sadiq Yusuf, says the union is supporting the decision of the federal government to remove the petroleum subsidy. This was during a meeting with the state governor, Uba Sani, and other labor union leaders over the planned strike. Mohammed Umar Ajingi has the details.
Union leaders representing members of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Trade Union Congress members among others, were led by the state chairman of the NLC.
In 2012, the federal government set up a committee and realized over $6 billion fraud in subsidy payment for 1-2 years. So what we are saying that the entire subsidy is a big fraud to our own understanding. So we are with the government and trying to inform the government and advise the government most sincerely to create palliatives immediately in order to alleviate the sufferings of the downtrodden electorates.
So we want to start on a good note by engagement, by parlaying together with the government so that we can assist the government and support them to take our dear state to a height of glory.
This is something that's sudden, and of course, as leaders, it's our responsibility to come with very important and robust palliatives arrangement. And I believe we cannot do that without the support and the cooperation of the labor leaders.
At the end of their discussions, 2 committees from the side of the union leaders and the state government were asked to quickly come up with palliative measures of cushioning the effect of subsidy removal on the citizens as they bear with the reality on ground of sudden increase of prices of goods and services. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
And from Kaduna, we head to Kwara, where the state government has approved a reduction in working days from 5 to 3 days, being a temporary palliative measure to bring ease to workers following the removal of petrol subsidy by the federal government. The state head of service, Mrs. Susan Modupe Oluwole, made this known in a statement after labor leaders met with the governor, Abdurrahman Abdurazak. Mrs. Oluwole directed all heads of ministry ministries, departments and agencies in the state to immediately work out a format indicating the alternating workdays for each worker. However, warning not to abuse the magnanimity of the governor and stressing that the regular monitoring of MDAs by her office will be intensified to ensure strict compliance. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says the support and cooperation of Nigerians is crucial at this time if the country is to achieve a smooth transition. This was while engaging with Villa staff shortly after her official assumption of office at the State House. Adeni Taiwo reports.
The first Monday after the May 29 inauguration ceremony, and Nigeria's First Lady is here at the Villa for her first day in office. She arrived and was received by staff of the office, led by the Permanent Secretary of the State House, Tijani Umar.
I'm so glad and delighted to meet you this morning.
During her first engagement with the staff, the First Lady expressed her appreciation to them for their service to the nation and called for more cooperation and support during the period of transition.
And it's not about me, but it's about our country. So our country and the love for country should come to bear, and we should all put that, right there in our faces to know that what we are doing is for posterity.
While getting the assurance of support from the Permanent Secretary, the First Lady undertook a tour of offices and facilities within the Villa. In the State House, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
The former secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has congratulated the newly appointed secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, as well as the newly appointed chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila. In a statement, Boss Mustafa describes his successor, George Akume, as a forthright, loyal and dedicated statesman with accumulated record of experience in harnessing human and administrative finesse to accomplish result-oriented governance. He assures George Akume of his availability to provide required support and guidance in any way possible to enable success. Meanwhile, on the appointment of Femi Gbajabiamila as new Chief of Staff to the President, Mustafa hopes that he will bring his wealth of experience garnered over the years in the leadership of the National Assembly to bear on his new assignment for the realization of a renewed hope agenda of the present administration. This is the network news on NTA. Stay tuned for more reports after this timeout. Thanks for staying tuned. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 25th February 2023 presidential election, Atiku Abubakar, has called 4 more witnesses at the Monday sitting of the Presidential Election Petition Court. Austin Anyebe reports on this and the hearing of Peter Obi.
In his continued push to prove the case of alleged electoral fraud in the February election, Counsel to Atiku Abubakar and PDP, Eyita Ojegede, senior advocate of Nigeria, led 4 more witnesses in evidence. The first was former Minister Abia Sekibo from Rivers State, who, having adopted his written statement as evidence in the case, told the court during cross-examination that as a coalition agent for Rivers State in the election, he observed that results were not uploaded from many polling units across the state. When asked how many polling units were in Rivers State, he said about 6,000, but monitor counting and uploading of results in about 20 polling units. On allegation of harassment and intimidation by agents of a political party, which prevented uploading of results as alleged, he said that he did not know any of the names of the perpetrators. 2 other witnesses testified. In their written statements deposed to, they raised issues of alleged irregularities in the conduct of the presidential election and equally alleged that the declaration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by INEC was illegal as he did not poll 25% of votes in the FCT. But during cross-examination, Respondents' Counsel asked them whether Atiku Abubakar polled 25% votes in the FCT or they are legal practitioners to know the interpretation of the said law being relied upon. They said no. The 4th witness for the day came from Lafia, Nasarawa State. He told the court that it was not the result that he signed that was announced. So far, 10 witnesses have been called by Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, with more to be called on the 6th of June 2023, when the court continues with further hearing of the petition. Meanwhile, Peter Obi, through his legal team, at Monday sitting tendered certified true copies of EC8As from local government areas in 8 states. The states include Ebonyi, Nasarawa, Delta, Kaduna, Ondo, Sokoto, and Kogi states. Respondent counsel have objected to the admissibility of all the documents, saying their reasons and grounds shall be advanced during their written addresses. From the Court of Appeal, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Progressive Governors Forum has endorsed the candidature of Abbas Tajuddin and Benjamin Kalu for speakership and deputy speakership positions of the 10th National Assembly, House of Representatives. The forum's chairman, Governor Hope Uzodimma, made this known in Abuja. Salihu Gwanara reports.
As part of stakeholders' engagement, members of the Joint Task Team in support of Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kalu took their campaign to the leadership of the APC governors. They described the struggle as a pan-Nigerian project that will further unite the people, promote political stability, and create necessary network for good governance.
The number one thing that is really affecting the Nigerian project, which is unity, we'll use this opportunity come the 10th Assembly to ensure that we do our bit to unite the whole entire country.
As a matter of fact, no parliament can succeed without the executive. Yes, you have powers for appropriation. What of cash backing? So you have to work together. The synergy must be there. So when you say, will they impose somebody? There's nothing called imposition. It's for the benefit of all of us. We must create a win-win situation where you have something to show your people and the executive also will have something to show their people. So we want to work together as brothers and sisters.
Members of the Joint Task Team cuts across all the political parties that produced the would-be 10th National Assembly members. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Nigeria's robust regulatory framework to drive circular economy is considered a viable means of tackling pollution from plastic. And as the world marks Environment Day, the Ministry of Environment is committing to effective implementation of policies aimed at promoting sustainable management of waste. Onengie Fineface reports.
Plastic, the Federal Ministry of Environment notes, has become an integral part of the Nigerian society due to its wide range of uses and economic benefits. However, its adverse effects on human health, natural ecosystems and the climate makes it a source of great concern. Joining the global community to mark World Environment Day this year, the Ministry of Environment is resolved to implement regulatory frameworks already designed to address plastic pollution and sundry problems including litter and blocking of drainages, resulting in flooding.
These efforts include 1. Putting in place appropriate policies, legal and regulatory framework that supports circular economy, such as national policy on solid waste management, national policy on plastic waste management, national policy on waste battery, implementation of extended producer responsibility, or EPR for short.
A full transformation that reduces society's over-dependence on plastics, one that builds new business models, one that creates new jobs along the supply chain and brings justice to the vulnerable communities.
The ministry is also collaborating with relevant stakeholders to raise public awareness on proper use, recycling and management of plastic wastes. In Abuja, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
The Nigeria Police Force says it has recorded 1,630 cases of major offences, arrested 3,619, rescued 316 kidnapped hostages in 5 months. Inspector General of Police Usman Al-Ghali Baba made this known during a meeting with strategic police managers at the force headquarters in Abuja. Francis Form was there for NTA News.
All to remain focused while monitoring the election tribunals and the proposed industrial action across the country.
It is a meeting of strategic police managers to assess the internal security situation in the country, disseminate some emerging strategic and policy-driven directives that will guide operations towards placing the new Nigerian ideal under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. IGP Usman Alkali Baba said about 486 assorted firearms consisting of AK-47 rifles and locally fabricated automatic weapons were recovered, while 4,072 assorted calibers of live ammunition and other incriminating items linked to various major crimes were also recovered within the period.
Regardless of the quantum of achievements recorded within the period under review and the successful democratic transitioning that happened on the 29th of May, there still remains prevailing and projected threats. We shall not rest on our oars. Rather, we must redouble our efforts to maintain the needed peace and stability of our democracy.
He stressed that the Nigeria Police Force will continue to leverage on the support of the federal government to re-evaluate internal security dynamics and adapt strategies towards ensuring that the current downward trend in crime across the country is sustained. Francis from NTA News.
Meanwhile, a joint police-military patrol team has rescued 9 children kidnapped by terrorists at Guranamai district in Maradun local government area of Zamfara state. The children were kidnapped over the weekend when the terrorists attacked the area. In a statement issued by the spokesman for the Zamfara Police Command, Yazid Abubakar, the children were safely rescued following a joint police-military operation conducted shortly after the attack. The statement says the patrol has since been intensified with a view to bringing perpetrators to book, while the freed hostages have since been reunited with their respective families. Nigeria's health authorities are reviewing the current status of antimicrobial resistance and setting a standard, as well as establishing key practices in the use of antibiotics in the country. While the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention is also strengthening the scope towards implementing the Commonwealth Partnership for Antimicrobial Stewardship in Nigeria. Oluseyi Adiabo reports.
Statistics of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention show that 4.9 million people who died in 2019 suffered from drug-resistant infections globally, and more than 64,000 deaths in Nigeria is attributable to antimicrobial resistance (AMR). While national responses such as legislations and laws to improve antimicrobial stewardship, including surveillance, exist, there are still gaps such as high volume of unregistered and counterfeit drugs.
One of the key areas is to set national targets for improvement. Also ensure that awareness is created.
In all countries, NCDC and partners have launched the Commonwealth Partnerships for Antimicrobial Stewardship Program in Nigeria.
The danger is that any outbreak now, not just only viruses, any outbreak of even bacterial infection can actually cause a pandemic.
What we want participants to do is to get the knowledge and get the capacity, looking at stewardship, which is around the medication and how we rationalize it and make sure it's safe.
So we expect to see great impact from this program at all levels.
The focus of this engagement is to, among others, enhance infection prevention and control IPC detection, reporting of substandard and falsified antimicrobial medicines, as well as building antimicrobial pharmacy experts in Nigeria. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adiabo, NTA News.
Away from health, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it will appeal the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja, acquitting the former head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Stephen Oronsaye, of the 2 billion naira money laundering charge brought against him and others by the Commission. In a statement by the head, Media and Publicity, Wilson Ojaren, Dismissing the charge, but by dismissing the charge, Justice Inya Eko held that the commission failed to establish the charges against the defendants. However, the commission believes the trial judge erred by overlooking the evidence of 21 witnesses called by the prosecution in the course of the trial, as well as the confessional statement of one of the defendants, Osarenko Afe. It has therefore decided to challenge the judgment at the Court of Appeal. It's time to join Michael in Lagos for more updates. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Najatu. Plastic pollution is detrimental to human health and the environment, particularly the production and use of single-use plastics. Larry Bilei examines the implication of this as the global community marks World Environment Day and its 15th anniversary with the theme Beat Plastic Pollution.
Why is plastic pollution dangerous? Every year, more than 400 million tons of plastic are produced worldwide. Most of them are designed to be used once, with less than 10% of them recycled. Then these plastics that are non-biodegradable end up in gutters, waterways, lakes, rivers, and sea. Eventually, they are broken down into tiny particles and find their way into our food chain, water, and air, harming our health.
Each country is encouraged then to do something to beat plastic. In other words, look at sustainable alternatives, and the alternatives we have you can be paper, it can be any other thing that is biodegradable.
For a city like Lagos, plastics waste is a menace as it clogs drainages, channels, aggravating flash floods.
Whether you are at work, you are the solution to plastic pollution. The animals don't litter, the animals don't pollute the environment. It's human beings that do it, and therefore it is the human beings that should clean up.
This has equally negative health impact on humans. When the flooding comes as a result of the blockage of drainages, we humans suffer them.
Policies to holistically address plastic pollution, funding for recycling, and mechanisms for alternatives that can discourage the use of one-off plastics, experts believe are proactive steps that must be taken. In Lagos, Larry Bilei, NTA News.
Activities of shipping companies at the Apapa port has been brought to a halt following the commencement of industrial action by Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria over trade disputes with shipping companies. Joe Popola reports that clearing agents and other stakeholders cannot gain access to the ports.
Apapa port is usually a beehive with importing and exporting activities. But the situation is different with a strike action embarked upon by Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria. On ground to enforce compliance are executives of the union led by its President General, Comrade Adewale Adeyanju, who described the strike as long overdue to address issues bordering on welfare of members of the union working in shipping companies, among others.
What we have is a selective negotiations, individual negotiations. So we are now saying, no, let us have a body of a committee that will oversee the affairs of their remuneration in shipping industry. When somebody is coming in today, we must know your template.
For clearing agents and other stakeholders in the maritime sector, the strike is having adverse effects on their business.
My truck used to go to the port and load containers, but as it is now, the condition is not as before.
We have a series of jobs that we are supposed to process this morning. We cannot, the shipping company cannot, in fact, they chased us out from their offices this morning. So we are just, lying idle.
All my job for today stands still. I can't do anything.
Operations at the port is low-key, with haulage vehicles also affected by the strike. The industrial action embarked upon by Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria is no doubt having far-reaching implication on shipping activities and port operations. Stakeholders are therefore calling on relevant authorities to see to an amicable resolution of the industrial dispute. Negotiation, as expected, is ongoing to resolve the industrial dispute. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. Business News will be back with Benny Adams in Abuja. Please stay.
Welcome to business. In line with the present administration's drive to improve investment in the country, all is now set for Nigeria, Belgium, Luxembourg Business Forum holding in Luxembourg and Brussels from June 7 to 9, 2023. The Business Forum is an initiative of the Embassy of Nigeria in Belgium in conjunction with the Belgium-Luxembourg-Nigeria Chamber of Commerce, Afrinex and ILO, according to Nigerian Ambassador to Belgium, Obinna Chidru Onowu. The event, which will bring together key industry players, will focus on agribusiness, renewable energy, health, construction and infrastructure, financial services, and other sectors of the economy. The envoy says more than 177 participants are expected in what will be the first major investment drive in the life of President Bola Tinubu's administration. And the Nikkei touches new 3-decade highs as Asia markets rise. Oil surges on OPEC Plus cuts. Basadiable has more on the markets.
European markets were muted Monday after ending on a high on Friday as traders digested the U.S. debt ceiling agreement and Eurozone inflation data. Asia markets were largely higher after U.S. President Joe Biden signed into law a debt ceiling bill that allowed the U.S. to avert defaulting on its financial obligations over the weekend. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 surged 2.20% above the 32,000 mark for the first time since 1990 to close at 32,217.43. U.S. equity futures were little changed on Monday after a broad-based rally that pushed the S&P 500 to its best week since March and its highest level since August. Africa markets also traded in mixed territory, with Ghana and Tunisia posting gains, while Namibia and South Africa JSE Africa Top 40 closed red. Bosse Able.
After trading bullish last week, the Nigerian equities market ended on a negative note this Monday to begin the week's trading in red. The all-share index depreciated to 55,806.71 basis points. Market capitalization dropped to 30.387 trillion naira. 369.7 million shares exchanged hands worth 19.841 billion naira in 7,221 deals. Well, that is business news. Network news continues after this break.
It's time for sports update.
The 5th edition of the Governor's Cup in Bayelsa State is underway with 214 teams participating at the Samson Siasia Sports Complex, Yanagua. Opening match of the tournament between EMG FC and Bayelsa Feeder United ended 1-0 in favor of Bayelsa Feeder United. The tournament, tagged the Prosperity Cup tournament, has been described as the largest grassroots tournament in the state to groom young talent. Meanwhile, the 3rd edition of the annual Emmanuel Egbele Scrabble tournament ended over the weekend in Lagos. About 110 certified Scrabble players in the country featured at the Day 2 Championship.
It's also part of the vision of East that in years to come we would actually even put it out there to even have players beyond West Africa and possibly other countries in Africa.
And finally, in tennis, Casper Ruud has defeated Nicolas Jarry in the 2023 French Open with a straight-set victory to reach quarter-final. Casper Ruud won the key point at the key moment to triumph in straight set 7-6, 7-3, 7-5, 7-5. With sports update, Peter Oibo, NTA News.
The death has been announced of Abubakar Ibrahim Sarkin Ayyukan Muri, who had a vast political experience and attended Barewa College, Zaria in 1947. He served in different capacities as a Federal Electoral Commissioner, Member of Parliament in the First Republic and alternate delegate to the Nigerian representative at the United Nations from 1959 to 1966. The late Abubakar was a frontline politician in the Second Republic and the convener of the PDP in Taraba State in 1998. He is survived by 4 wives, 30 children and more than 200 grandchildren and great-grandchildren, amongst whom is the Deputy National Women Leader of the APC, Hajia Zainab Abubakar Ibrahim. The national leadership of Ratau commiserates with the Dokbesi family, Dark Communications and the entire broadcast industry over the demise of an icon, Raymond Aleoho Dokbesi. In a statement by the General Secretary, Dokbesi set the pace for the triumph of private broadcasting outfits and displayed brilliance and decorum in politics, philanthropy, and numerous contributions to nation building. He prays for the repose of his soul. And up next is weather update.
The weather forecast. Early morning thunderstorms are expected to affect parts of Taraba, Adamawa, Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna and Kebbi, as well as parts of FCT, Niger and Kwara, extending to parts of Ondo, Ogun, Edo, Delta and the stretch of the coastal cities. The afternoon and evening hours have better prospect as widespread thunderstorms are expected across the southern region with high intensity to the coastal cities, while isolated thunderstorms are expected across most parts of the central cities and the northern region. And that's our bit from here. I'm Sophia Senyinusa. Thank you for watching.
And that concludes the network news on NTA. Thanks for watching. On behalf of the crew, bye for now.